Welcome back to the Flame and the Flood, the final video of the Animal Friend campaign run. We have another hour left of this full campaign run, not killing any animals, in order to get the Animal Friend trophy. Now that we've already seen a few interspecies attacks, and we've met our new best friend, the elder wolf, we're going to adapt a little bit to the last two regions here in the game, and we're going to start trying to pit some of these animals against each other so we can possibly get some meat and maybe even make some gear to wear to warm up a little bit. As in the past two videos, this is a lot of the same kind of practices. We have a bear here, so there may be moments where there might not be something on screen to really point out and spend a lot of time on. So if I can, I'd like to go through as many of the trophies from the list for the game as possible, just to talk through and see if I can't possibly offer some pointers and some tips to other points of the game that you may come across if you're new to the game, if this is your first campaign run, or even if it's your second campaign run and you don't understand why you don't have certain trophies. Hopefully I can help to shed some light on some of the finer points of working towards this platinum. When the last video ended, we had just discovered that the elder wolf showed up where we were when night fell, and I was in the middle of talking about the Pay It Forward trophy, and basically I think what I was getting at was there's two difficulties that you can play the campaign at: Traveler, which we're playing at here, and Survivalist. Traveler, when you die, you are brought back to the menu and you're asked whether you want to start at the beginning of the region where you died at, or you have the option to start the region before that region. Those are your two choices, or you can start a new playthrough. If you start a new playthrough, and if you restart from either of those regional checkpoints, you don't get a wiped bag with Aesop's bag filled with whatever you died with it in it. You just start from that checkpoint. Whatever you had in your bag, whatever was on the raft, whatever raft upgrades you have, what was in the dog's bag is from that checkpoint, specifically that regional checkpoint. The only way to get Pay It Forward is if you play on either Survivalist during the campaign and you die with something in the dog's bag, start a new playthrough of the campaign, and then you should get it there. Or if you play on Endless and you die at any point in Endless and you have an item in the dog's bag, either way should work for Pay It Forward. Locusta, or however you pronounce that, poison 20 wolves with tainted meat. We actually just walked past some Devil's Trumpet there. Obviously, for this Animal Friends trophy, we're not purposefully committing any acts that will kill animals by ourselves, so we haven't been using the Devil's Trumpet during this run. But you can use Devil's Trumpet, which is a plant you can pick up in a lot of different places. Oop, there's the elder wolf again. You can use Devil's Trumpet to combine it with either cooked meat for tainted bait, or uncooked meat, raw meat, for tainted meat. And as I said in, I believe it was the second video, maybe the third video of the series, you can use Devil's Trumpet to make either tainted meat or tainted bait. Throw it at one wolf, wait for that wolf to eat the bait, and you'll see the wolf convulse and fall over. At any point after the wolf bites into the meat, the tainted meat, you can take it, usually you can take it away from the wolf and you can use it again. I have at times used the same tainted bait on 6 wolves, I think is the record that I personally had. And other times you'll make the tainted goods, you'll throw it, and the game just won't let you pick it up at all, ever, whether it's right after they eat it or after the wolf is dead, or as they're eating it. Doesn't matter. It just, the game kind of decides whether or not it's going to allow you to use that exploit very randomly, but it is definitely worked out that it's such a more efficient way, especially if you have 3 wolves that are on the same island, to at least attempt to use the same piece of tainted meat or bait to kill all 3 wolves. If you can, then you're going to save yourself building 3 spear traps or using some other method. 9 arrows. I think a wolf takes 3 arrows to kill each. So it's so much more efficient and so much more helpful to be able to use that exploit whenever the game does kind of allow you to do so. The next trophy on the list is called Speedboat. I will talk about that in just a second here. I just want to point out, this may be the island. I'm guessing, again, I haven't previewed this video in the last day or two, but I'm not seeing any rabbits. There's definitely going to be an island soon where there's a lot of rabbits and snakes on the island, and we're going to start using those animals to our benefit. But I don't see any rabbits, so it must not be that one. Maybe soon we'll see what I'm talking about. Speedboat is travel 20 miles with the raft motor running. The raft motor is one of the raft upgrades you can get. 3 schematics, 3 hardwares, and 3 raft frames will get you the raft motor. There's gasoline at the marinas and at the gas stations. And I feel like there's one other place you can get gas, but I can't really recall where that is. Basically, all you have to do is just use the motor on your raft enough throughout, either a campaign, which is, fairly unlikely that you're going to have 20 miles of river to use the motor on, because you would have to get it like at least at the latest halfway through the campaign, because the entire distance you travel in a campaign is about 40 miles. I think this one's going to actually end up being 37.5 miles, I think, when we get to the end. So pretty unlikely you'll be able to run a motor for 20 full miles during a campaign, but certainly you're going to want to get it in your endless run at some point. And you're definitely going to want to use that motor, because there are long stretches of endless where there's nothing to do except go from wilderness to wilderness, and there's a marina every few miles to fill up your gas tank. So you'll definitely find use in using the motor in endless. So you should get it there. The next trophy on the list is Sickly. This is the other trophy that I've actually been struggling to get on this account. It is to contract every affliction. And unless the list I'm looking at is missing one, I have done each of these afflictions numerous times. Lacerations, which you will get countless times from wolves, from sometimes boars. Boars will either break your bones or they'll give you a laceration. From a bear attack, possibly, you'll get one or the other. Even walking past like the thorny little bushes and things like that. Lacerations are so very common, and if you don't take care of them, you can get staph infection. That's the second affliction. You have broken bones here. Wet and ill-equipped is something that you will automatically get in the first probably 10-15 minutes of any campaign or endless run, because that always happens. It's always raining. You're always not wearing enough warm clothes. Tiny cuts from the thorns is very similar to lacerations. And poison ivy, that's the little patches of red leafy areas on the island that you can walk through. Ant bites, that's when you walk on the patches that have holes kind of scattered around the land. You usually don't see a lot of those until you get to regions like where we are, the desolate wastelands and things like that. Bacterial infection is what you get when you don't take care of an ant bite. Drunk is when you just drink some of the alcohol that you pick up. It doesn't actually affect your vision in the game. Some games, if you drink alcohol, the screen will get kind of hard to determine where you're going, or you'll lose the motor skills of controlling your character. But there's no visible difference when Scout drinks any of the alcohol. But it is considered an affliction, and it goes away after a little bit. I think actually I'm incorrect. The one change I've seen when you drink the alcohol is this is interesting here. The elder wolf, still tailing us, comes up against the bear, and I was hoping that the bear and the elder wolf were going to fight, and I was going to get the elder hide, because you see the bear's not even there. So the bear must have chased the elder wolf, and I just kind of circled around, trying to stay away from their little fight, so that I didn't get hit in the interim. But I think the bear just simply scares the elder wolf off, and we don't get to reap the benefits of that really rare and useful wolf hide. So that's unfortunate. As I was saying, when Scout drinks alcohol, the only effect that I noticed was the exhaustion level goes down very quickly. So watch out for that. If you're going to try to get all these things for this trophy and for the next trophy, buy a thread where you have to do 10 stacked afflictions. Pay attention to obviously all of Scout's needs. Her hunger, her thirst, and her exhaustion level. You want to make sure that you don't end up killing her unless that is part of what you're intended to do by getting these afflictions. Blood flukes. Blood flukes you can only get from eating the spoiled fish, which is an item you can only find in certain bear caves. So you're going to need to get yourself inside a bear cave, either by killing a bear or by waiting, and you have to time it out, because it's not too easy to make sure that this works. You got to time it out if a bear is running after a different animal on the island. Here I used the snakes to get a bite on the elder wolf so that he would run off and leave me alone, so I could have a moment's peace. So certain bear caves, inside the bear cave, you'll find a spoiled fish, and if you eat that spoiled fish, there's a high chance that you'll get blood flukes. It may not happen every single time you eat it, so I would suggest that if you are lucky enough to find some spoiled fish in a bear cave and you want to go for this trophy, or even if you want to use it for by a thread to have the 10 stacked afflictions, I would suggest going to the next island, let the game autosave, and then try to eat it and make sure that you get the blood flukes affliction, just so that you can cross it off your list. I didn't prepare for this, for talking through this trophy in the way that I could have made some notes and wrote down every single remedy for every single one of these afflictions. Unfortunately, I didn't write that down, so I apologize. But many of these are cured by one of three things: dandelion tea, penicillin, or sumac tea. Sometimes there's like one or two things that sumac tea is useful for. Dandelion tea and penicillin will take care of 99% of everything else. I'm sure there's one or two other remedies I'm forgetting, but obviously bandages and aloe and I can't think of the word, not stint, the thing you put on broken bones, whatever that's called. I'm drawing a blank at the moment. Obviously those things are for cuts and for broken bones and a splint. There you go. For those different things. But as far as ingesting anything, food poisoning, and anything that's kind of internal, penicillin or dandelion tea, and sometimes, like I said, sumac tea. 2 sumac plants and water and a fire will make that. We're at a gas station, as I mentioned on the previous video. You can fill up your gas tank. You can fill up 2 different jars of gas at the gas station in case you want to put more gas on the raft so you can use it for your travels. Heading down the same affliction list for sickly, food poisoning is for eating spoiled or tainted meat and uncooked yucca. Those are the 3 things that you can eat to get food poisoning. Other than that, if you eat, if you drink polluted water, eat moldy lump. There's a couple other similar things that'll do it. You can get some parasites. And then there's the 3 specifically, the 3 afflictions you can specifically get from drinking contaminated water: giardia, dysentery, and listeria, or listeria. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that one. Further down the list, there is a trophy for getting dysentery and then dying of dehydration. And I think I've mentioned it before. Basically, if you're going to go for that trophy, you might want to head to a new island so that you get the autosave and do the same kind of thing that I just suggested before with the blood flukes, because it's very random which of the 4 things you get from drinking contaminated water, whether it's parasites, giardia, dysentery, or listeria. So you may want to just keep drinking contaminated water until you get dysentery, or you might just want to reload your save until the affliction that you need works, in order to get the dysentery and then allow dehydration to kill Scout. Obviously, we're not going to do that on this run, because we're getting close to the end game here, and we don't want to waste our good progress. So those are all the afflictions that I have listed here, and I know that I've gotten every single one of them on my endless run that I just completed, but for some reason I still don't have the trophy. So I don't know if I'm missing one on this list, or I just haven't gotten one of these and I thought I did. I don't know, but look out for that, and just maybe if you're struggling with it too, maybe I would suggest making a checklist and just checking off each one in a single campaign or your endless run that you get, so that you know, yes, you've done it on this run. You don't need to worry about it. You can move on to the next thing, because I, you know, I just ended up at a hardware store and I got the handyman trophy, the handyman goal. And I don't remember exactly what you get for that, but that was one that was a goal we picked up, I think, 2 videos ago. And as you can see, the elder wolf is still following us. Again, as I said at the end of the last video, it's helpful for this run because there's not many other animals you need to worry about. There's 1 giant wolf instead of 3 wolves, so you can kind of ward the wolf away and explore a little bit more, or you can just leave, as I did here. You can also use, if there are other animals on the island, you can use those animals to fight with the elder wolf, to scare him off. And you can also, I wouldn't suggest it for this run, but you could shoot an arrow at the wolf, or throw tainted meat at the wolf, the elder wolf, and you'll hurt the elder wolf with an arrow, but the tainted meat, he won't bother trying to eat it. So that's one way, if you need to get rid of him, that you can use that effort to scare the elder wolf away, to clear the island of that threat. I did lose my train of thought here. I was talking about sickly. As I said, yeah, so that's what I said. You know, I would suggest, if you're struggling with this, if you're not finding it working for you, make a checklist. That way, at least you know the ground that you've covered, because some of these afflictions could lead to death, and it would be unfortunate if you had to reload from a checkpoint that, you know, and lose an hour worth of progress just because you're trying to get this one trophy to pop. So just keep a level head about these afflictions, and try to keep record of which ones you've gotten, because it does seem to be tricky. Buy a thread is to simply have 10 afflictions at the same time. These can be wet, ill-equipped. You can get lacerations. You can let it lead to staph infection, though I would not suggest that, actually, because normally if one affliction leads to another one, like a laceration leads to staph, it will clear the laceration affliction when it adds the staph infection. So that wouldn't necessarily work. But you could be ill-equipped, wet. At any point, if you have some alcohol, you could drink to add that affliction. You could get lacerations. You could drink contaminated water, and you can make a whole bunch of stuff happen at the same time. But again, I suggest you do it when you arrive at an island healthy, make all that stuff happen all at the same time, and then as soon as you get the trophy, reload so that you get back to perfect health, because you don't want to have to clear all that stuff up and use all your supplies just for a trophy. Seamstress is the next trophy here. Make 50 articles of clothing. This will take some time, but it is cumulative. Chances are it should pop for you in your first endless run if you're doing 2 full campaigns, making as much clothes as you can as you go along, working on getting the full wolf outfit, the full bear outfit in your campaign runs, or at least in your endless run. Eventually you should make enough. If you have satisfied all your garment needs through those 3 runs, and you're finding that it still hasn't happened yet, I would suggest, unless it conflicts with whatever trophies you're working on during an endless run, that you just get a couple rabbits and just keep making gloves or hats or boots with the rabbit. If you have boar hides, you want to use those instead. Whatever animal skins come easily for you, that only need to use one animal skin and a stitching kit, and you can make something out of. Just keep grinding those out until you get the seamstress trophy. Death on the Trail was the one that we just talked about. Died from dehydration, was suffering from dysentery. A little nod to the Oregon Trail affliction. So, as I said, you want to try that on a new island, and you may want to reload every time you drink contaminated water and don't get dysentery, or you can just keep drinking and hope that it works. But it should eventually work for you. And then once you get it, it's fairly quick that you die of dehydration. The next trophy on the list is Terraphobia. Travel 10 miles on the river without stopping. I've spoken about this a couple times in this series. I have just recently accomplished it, and I do have a video that I'm going to be putting out showing what I did in order to get the trophy. But the first time I attempted it, I died of exhaustion about 9 miles in, because I didn't realize that when you're on the raft and your exhaustion level goes all the way down to 0, the game gives you the option to collapse by hitting the square button on PlayStation, and what that does is it just actually pretty much pauses the game, fills up your exhaustion level back to 100, so that you don't need any sleep, and nothing else is really affected. You don't crash into any islands. You don't lose any hunger or thirst level. It's actually very convenient, which is not what I expected to have happen here. Oh, this is the island with the snakes that I was talking about. It's a little hard to see with the rain, but the snakes, when I arrived on the island, I have been here for a little bit of time, but as you can see, there's a whole mess of dead rabbits that the snakes have killed. So I'm picking up the ones that aren't guarded by the snakes at the moment, and I'm going to eventually cook the meat and use the rabbit hides to warm myself up a little bit. This was the point where I looked at the dead rabbits, and I said, I didn't cause this to happen. I didn't even know it happened. It's sitting here. I may as well make use of it. And like I said, I wouldn't suggest trying to, make every single animal that you come in contact kill another animal or whatever. But if you're lucky enough to get these kind of situations, I would say go for it. I'm taking the skinned rabbit, and I already have the stove, of course, on the raft. So yeah, I am clearing some inventory here. Yeah, so we're gonna skin the rabbits, we're gonna cook the meat, and we're gonna use the hides for something. I don't remember which. Should have enough stitching kits to make some garments. Probably gonna go for a jacket or pants. As we're letting this go along here, I'm gonna keep talking about Terraphobia. Yeah, so hitting collapse actually kind of refreshes Scout, and there's no exhaustion, nothing to worry about. So if you run into that, if you're gonna go for the 10-mile run, do it on endless, because the campaign, you're probably not going to be able to run a full 10 miles. There's almost, they're spaced out a little bit more than 10 miles, but between region 1 and region 4 and region 7 and region 10, where you have to stop in order to progress through the tiny little story there is. That it's not very conducive to be able to try to travel 10 miles, and of course you have to have the motor, otherwise you'll never be able to move fast enough to get through that. So on your endless run, make sure you got plenty of meat, plenty of jars of water, plenty of gas in jars as well, and use the method that I've shown in previous videos. Holding L2 allows you to select things in your menu as you're on the raft, so you can eat, you can drink, you can fill up the gas while you're still sailing down the river, and head towards as many rapids as you can. Try to go as fast as you can, and see if you can get there. See if you can get through 10 miles without needing to collapse. But if that option does come up, I suggest you do that so you don't die of exhaustion like I accidentally did the first time I attempted it. So I missed it, I believe. I know that I got rid of my insulated jacket, so we must have gone for the rabbit jacket. I think I picked up 2 or 3 rabbits there, because I know a jacket takes 3. I think the pants take 2, so that must have been what we did there. So again, it's all about using the resources you have in front of you, and making it work. Next trophy on the list is Hallelujah, and that is to sleep in 20 churches. I've mentioned this before. It took me 3 or 4 campaign runs, and I think I didn't even get it until my endless run. I don't know if I just didn't come upon enough churches, or if I was using my raft shelter too often as I was upgrading and going through working on various things. But I didn't hit 20 churches for a very long time. I have read and heard other people talk about sleeping in the same church 20 times should get you the trophy. If you really want to knock it out, you can do that. Just remember that Scouts' needs for food and for water do deplete when you sleep. So if you're not properly, if you don't have enough food and water in your inventory, sleeping at the same church over and over again may cause you some more problems. So just keep an eye on that. The next 2 trophies are story progression trophies. High Ground, which we got at Region 4 with Flim Flam. We went up to the radio tower. And the Path Up, Angel Yards, in Region 7, we got just in the last video when we met Quincy Colley, I think his name is, and he fixed our boat for us, and we met the bear, and we saw the rocket ship, which I went back and I watched that video, and I realized that was never intended to be a TV station. That actually was supposed to be some kind of like air base. That the place where we landed was what it was intended to be. I guess it was used as a place for survivors to get on a rocket and possibly go to a different planet. So there's an interesting bit of lore in this game that they don't touch on enough. But the Elder Wolf is back. But those kind of little hints of things are always fun when games put those in, just to kind of make you ask more questions instead of find more answers, which is the mystery sometimes is more fun than spelling it all out for you. So High Ground and the Path Up, those are the 2 there. Pack Rat, expand your inventory to the maximum. So you do this by getting pouches, and sometimes if you're extremely lucky, you may find pouches as you're exploring, opening crates and various other things that you find in your travels. You may find an actual pouch, 1 or 2 or 3, who knows. But the other way, and the way that's going to definitely work for you more often, is 2 rabbit skins and a stitching kit can make you a pouch. Each pouch will expand your inventory by 4 slots, and you can maximize your inventory to 28 slots. You start with 12, 2 rows of 6, and then I'm doing the math in my head. 12 more is 24, and 1 additional one is 28. So so there you go. Four pouches will extend your inventory to the maximum, which I have OCD, and it kind of bothers me what the final inventory looks like, because it's a bunch of nice, neat rows. Let's see if we head over to it. It's a bunch of nice, neat rows of 6, and then there's right, because we don't have a full inventory here. It's just like it's four slots underneath these nice rows of 6 that really bother me. So extending your inventory slots, definitely not something we're going to be able to do on this run, unless we get lucky and get another 5 or 6. Well, actually, I should say 6 or 8 rabbits to get killed by snakes, and then we can start using their pouches, but using their hides to make pouches. But that's not going to happen in this run. But just keep that in mind for your campaign, for your first campaign, or your normal campaign, your endless run. That's how you work on getting pack rat. The next trophy is crafty. Craft every item. Personally, I found this to be quite easy to work on, because I personally, I'm always grabbing the supplies. I'm always grabbing whatever I have, looking through the list. If something is on the list that I can craft that I've never made before, I'm going to craft it. I'm going to see what it is. I'm going to check it out. But the struggle with this trophy is in, first of all, the 2 rare jackets, the Elder Wolf jacket, which the Elder Wolf is here on this island with us, and the White Wolf. Both of them need to be caught, and you need to make their jacket with a leather kit, a stitching kit, and their hide. So both of those you might not see both of them in your first campaign run. So keep working on it, keep playing through the game, and doing your 2 runs and your endless run, and your small endless run after that for vegetarian. Eventually you should stumble upon both of those rare wolves. It is cumulative, and most of the other things that you can craft, you will almost definitely have a need to craft every item that becomes available to you. The only things that you may never get around to crafting are the torch, if you never find a use for it, as we've talked about many times before, and the few items that you can make at workbenches. But a lot of the workbench items we haven't made in this run, because most of them concern animal hides, leather kits. The steel knife needs a boar hide, and the other 2 things you can make once you start getting the steel knife and the metal hammer is bow and arrow, which we didn't need in this run. So those are the kind of things that when you see our crafting list, they haven't been touched yet. But for the most part, everything else you're going to have a need to create at some point in order to survive throughout this campaign. But if you still don't have it when you're playing, just go through your crafting list, and if anything is kind of still locked, look for it, figure out what you need to be able to create it, and as soon as you have the materials or get one of those items in your possession, you should be able to know how to craft it, and then you should find it easier to work through that. The next trophy on the list is Animal Friend, and we've been working on that throughout this series, and we are about 15 minutes to the end of this campaign, and we're going to see that trophy pop, which of course I'm going to have to put in here because I'm using Share Factory. They don't show you the trophies actually showing up. Next trophy is Vegetarian, which is very much like this run. Survive the first 20 days in endless mode without killing any animals. The one thing about this that's a lot easier, it's 20 miles versus the nearly 40 miles that a campaign takes you. And also in endless, you can set the dog up with plenty of jerky and other items that will make your run a lot more efficient. I would suggest 20 jerky. Oh, here's more hypothermia. Oh, you know what? Yes, I do. Okay. I cheated a little bit there, and I said there's no way I'm getting back to the raft. So we started from the very beginning, and I'm probably going to light the stove right away and warm up before I do anything. Or maybe I'm going to make a campfire. I do remember making a few more campfires in this run than I've seen as we go through this video. So it's either the stove or a campfire. But anyway, the great thing about doing it on endless is you can load up Aesop or Daisy, the dog, with, I would suggest, 20 pieces of jerky. And if you can, it's not really that necessary to have multiple pouches. You don't want to necessarily... What am I doing? Hold on just a minute here. I don't know why I went... Oh, I know why. Okay. Because what happens is when you restart from an island, it'll load you at the dock, and it won't really give you the option to go straight back onto the raft. When you reload, you'll have to go on the island and then come back. So hypothermia set in so quickly that I had to crawl off the dock into the island and then backtrack and then head onto the raft. But it was enough time to still make it work. We didn't die. I mean, this game does definitely give you enough time to deal with whatever life-altering changes are happening. The only thing you can't do anything about in time is drowning along the river. When your raft is done, you're done. And if you reload, there's a good chance that you'll be restarting an endless run or loading a checkpoint from before you set out in that region. Just keep that in mind. Right, vegetarian, 20 days in endless mode without killing any animals. So what I was saying was 20 pieces of jerky. I would suggest raft schematics, raft frames, raft hardware. That way you can put a shelter on your raft. You could put a stove on your raft if you load up enough. You can put like enough things on your raft. You could basically live on your raft for 20 days. Again, just like with the churches, you still need to keep yourself satisfied as far as your needs. If you have 20 pieces of jerky, that should last you a good bit of those 20 days without working or trying it at all. And if you put a water filtration system on the raft, that will also fill up, and you can drink out of that every I don't know what the timing is for the water on the raft. It seems like it takes probably a day or two to fill up each time. And certainly if you get a situation like what's happening here on screen, if it starts raining, then you can fill up your jars. But you know, part of that 20 days, and again, it is the first 20 days, I should mention, of Endless. Just like the paleo diet, you've got to do this from day one. If you end up killing an animal on day one on your Endless run, you're not going to be able to get vegetarian. But you know, so I would suggest heading out and gathering supplies, gathering plants, and all the other kind of things you can get your hands on. Don't necessarily on day one start building a raft shelter and just sleep on your raft for 20 straight days, because you're going to need to meet some needs and get out there a little bit. And plus, that's not fun. Who wants to just sleep on a raft for 20 days and call it a run of a game? That's not fun. So that's vegetarian. Field Medic, cure 30 afflictions in a single playthrough. This will be fairly natural to accomplish because of all the lacerations that you'll get, all the snake bites that you'll need to drink dandelion tea for. I would assume being ill-equipped and wet and then going to a campfire is counted as fixing an affliction, curing an affliction. But I haven't tested that out. But it's definitely something that I would say you won't have to worry about. You will definitely get Field Medic at some point on either of your campaign runs. I'm sure you'll get it on your first campaign run. Paleo diet, survive 40 days in endless mode without eating any plants. Fairly easy if you just plan ahead and you just know what you're doing. On your first endless run, I would suggest just making sure that you don't eat any plants in the first 40 days. Grab your saplings and your cattails, make spear traps, and you'll be on your way. Speaking of being on our way, this is happening a bit earlier than I thought it was. We have just entered the end game here. As you can see, we only benefited from the rabbits. That's the only animals that we grabbed and used, cooked the meat, we ate the meat, we used the rabbit hides, and thanks to the elder wolf following us throughout nearly two regions. This is strange what happened here. I was a little worried that it was going to cause me a problem, make me have to reload a save or something. This isn't normal. I have not ever seen this in a campaign. I don't know if I veered off in the wrong direction or if I went too fast or I have no idea what happened, but I've come to this part of the campaign many times, and I've never been lost in a cloak of fog before. So very strange, but it's going to clear up. It's going to clear up right about now. But yeah, this is the end game, and we're gonna arrive at the region at region 10 and finish this off and get the Animal Friend trophy very soon. So why don't I quickly just run through some of the rest of these trophies while we're heading through and listening to the great Chuck Ragan. I have no idea how to say his name. But the the namesake of this game. This song is playing in the background here. Okay, so Arctic Survivor, get a full set of bear hide clothing. Again, as I've said in the past, probably won't happen your first campaign run, because you definitely have to plan ahead in order to get all the spear traps to kill enough bears to make a full set of hat, gloves, boots, jacket, pants. But if you're able to do it in your first campaign run, then you're better than me. Okay, you get my seal of approval. Invincible. After 20 days of travel, have every stat at 100% and no afflictions. This is fairly easy too. Just once you know that you've reached 20 days, eat enough food that I would suggest sleeping more than the hours that you need, so that you sleep, you're at 100% there, and then eat 2 pieces of meat, drink a jar of water, maybe 2 jars of water, so that all 3 of those needs are at 100%. And if you have no afflictions, I don't believe ill-equipped or wet will cancel the trophy out. But if that happens, then just simply wait until you're not ill-equipped or wet, and that should work. And we're entering. I just ran right through that last island, and we're here at the credits. Let me see what else I should mention before we sign off here. Seafarer, fully upgrade your raft in a single playthrough. Fairly easy to do. Just keep working on those schematics, getting those frames and hardwares together, and working on getting all the stuff in your raft. I think we ended up in this run putting everything on the raft except the water purifier, which is useful enough in some of your runs, especially on endless, because you're gonna need to fill your thirst fairly quickly on that run. So just keep working on those, and keep collecting your nuts and bolts and your lumber, and it should work for you. Deadeye, I've spoken about before. Kill every animal type with arrows. So the animals include wolf, boar, bear, rabbit, snake. Snakes are kind of hard to hit unless you approach them and get them to raise their heads. So make sure you do that. And then the crows. Crows, that's the animal I always forget with the Deadeye trophy. Make sure that you also kill a crow with an arrow. You can't eat the crow. You can't really use it for any other benefit. So, which is unfortunate. But Under the Stars, survive 40 days in endless mode without sleeping in a shelter. This, in endless mode, does not have to be on the first 40 days, which is nice because it's fairly hard to get the raft shelter on your raft before you need to sleep the first time, unless you really load your dog's inventory with schematics, frames, and hardwares. But this can be done at any point in your endless run. Just get the raft shelter and use it to sleep for 40 days. Don't sleep in any churches or any shacks that you come across, or any buses, and just keep at it, because in my endless run I forgot halfway through while I was working on it, and I slept in like a church or something, and then I had to start over again. So keep an eye on that. Longest river, survive 100 miles in endless mode. That will be your halfway point in your first endless run. Fairly easy to do. In Wolf's clothing, equip a full set of wolf hide clothing. That will come naturally if you're making clothes as you're killing wolves in your first campaign run. You will have the opportunity to make wolf's clothing. The only The only thing that might slow you down is getting leather kits together, which require rabbit hides and nuts and bolts, and it needs to be made at a workbench. So if you're not getting nuts and bolts, or you're not getting enough rabbits, or you're not finding enough hardware stores or gas stations that have the workbench, you may run into some issues. Can barely take it, kill a bear, which you'll have the opportunity to do in your normal playthrough. Snake Charmer, lure a hostile animal into a snake. This is something that you'll probably use from time to time. Even in this run, if you want to, see if you can get a boar to chase after you and get bit by 2 snakes. That's always the best way to do it. Iron Stomach, eat all the bad stuff in a single playthrough. That's spoiled fish, tainted meat, devil's trumpet, raw meat, uncooked yucca, moldy lump, and spoiled meat, all in one single playthrough. Just be careful when you do that. I wouldn't suggest eating it all at once, and have a lot of dandelion tea, sumac tea, penicillin available to you. The kingdom, reach the kingdom in campaign mode. That's what we just did here. And River God, survive 200 miles in endless mode. That you will get in your endless run if you can reach 200 miles. As I said, I just accomplished that recently, and I'll probably be putting up a video for that fairly soon. I hope this series was informative for you. I hope you learned how to get through this and to get the Animal Friend trophy, and I'll throw it up here at the end here. Thanks for watching. All right, take care.